Hi, this is Vail Johnson. Check out my interviews and all the other great interviews on bassplayersonly.com. Vail Johnson. Done. Oh, yeah. All right.
How are you, Vail?
I'm doing well, thank you. Appreciate that.
It's great catching up because the first interview that we did with you on bassplayersonly.com was, I think, might have been as far back as 2009.
Yeah.
Maybe 2010, I don't know, but it was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago.
The Come Together album had just come out, and you've since very recently put out a follow-up, and that's called Flow.
That's right.
That came out early in 2014. Tell us about that.
Well, this is kind of it's kind of a follow-up to my very first one, Terminator.
I remember
which was the bass playing many roles, and it's all, with the exception of one song, it's all all original stuff, and the bass is playing melodies and chords, and very little bit of keyboards and guitar are involved. It's mostly bass doing a lot of different things, and drums, of course. So it was kind of like Terminator in that way. So it's very funky, bass, slapping, melodic, all that kind of stuff. Just exploring all the different things that bass can do, different roles it can play.
And it is very enjoyable, not just for bass players, especially for bass players, but I think for music lovers in general. And you are already working on a follow-up to that, I understand.
Yeah, I had been working concurrently on this vocal CD, and it's going to be quite a departure from what you've heard me do before, but I'm singing all of them. I sang on a couple of my earlier ones, you may or may not remember, but this one is my take on country music. Now that I'm living in Nashville, been here for 4 years.
4 years.
And it's called Country Soul, and that's the title track. It's the title of the album, but it's also the style, how I would describe it. It's kind of it's the old style country music, but with my version, with my sort of old 70s soul feel infused into country thing. It has nothing to do with what passes for country music now, which is basically 90s rock with a banjo, so. But it's just my thing. I'm singing on it. It's a mix of originals and some old classic tunes that I messed with, and made them kind of this sort of soulful, country, hoot-manny, fun sounding things. I'm using D'Addario strings, which I've actually been using for a very, very long time, and now I'm just officially endorsing them. And
those are good for slapping and for all the melodic stuff and everything.
Absolutely. I use the nickel wound ones. For me, the stainless ones are a little too bright. I use the nickel wound, regular ones, and I also use the flat wounds on several of my instruments as well. I really like the sound of it. And Roscoe basses is my newest thing. I've got this fantastic 5-string fretless, and they're currently making me a really nice 5-string fretted. It's just fantastic workmanship. They're out in North Carolina. I actually visited the plant there and talked to Keith and the guys and Guard, and it was really cool. And so they hooked me up.
And you're not real big on the effects and all that stuff, are you?
No, that's actually a funny thing with me. I eschew any sort of pedal or effect completely. I have a very good reason for that. But it's keeping it to myself. Okay. No, the pedal thing. Yeah, it's to me because I'm generally playing in a fairly large audience situation. For me, just being able to hear the notes on bass is hard enough. Just going direct, I mic a cabinet, and I go direct, but it's hard enough in a large venue just to even hear the note value at all. And everything you put in front of that amp, in that signal chain, just makes it harder and harder to hear. So you have these effects lined up, and the net effect, if you will, is just made the sound less legible, audibly speaking.
Okay.
That's my thing. It's great in the bedroom. Play all these cool things. I love a chorus and a flanger and octave box and all that, but when you play in a large stage, you plug it in and you go, and it just goes, whoops. So for bass, for me, I'm just trying to get so I can hear the note value and play as loud as I possibly can.
We also talked, you were on a tour with Kenny G, and you've been in with him for pretty much forever, right?
Mm-hmm.
How long have you been with Kenny now?
That was since the dawn of man, really.
Okay.
When fire was invented, as we all know, the saxophone was next. And it's been 28 years now, since 1986. Yeah,
my goodness.
I was 5 years old when I started with them, and he used to be my babysitter, and that's when he hired me because I worked cheap.
Well, let me ask you this about as a career move, because you slap, you do all the other styles that you talked about. Yeah. Kenny G is known for his thing, being Kenny G. That doesn't seem to have typecast you in any way, or hurt you, or given people the wrong idea about who you are and what you do. Or how has that long-standing gig with Kenny G affected the types of things that you get called for, whether it's sessions or tours or other things? How has that been?
Well, I think you're right in that it hasn't really. It's not so genre specific that I get typecast into one exact thing, like, oh, he only just slaps, or he only does smooth jazz, or whatever, So I think it's, what's really helped is the gigs that I've gotten from the original Kenny gig in the mid and late 80s, doing stuff like Arsenio. Those sorts of things really got me a lot more work. So Kenny's, it was, the genesis of it was, doing Kenny's gig, but then I met so many people that come to a show, they'd hire me to play, and then other people would see that. So it's really just sort of a chain of events that has happened over all these years. And so I get called for all different kinds of things, so.
You remind me of this long-haired kid with the sleeveless top playing a slap on Arsenio.
Yeah, right.
I love that video.
Yeah, pretty crazy.
Yeah. Well, what else is keeping you busy these days, Vail?
Yeah, well, I'm doing a lot of session work here in town in Nashville. Doing some other, some gigs around town for fun. I do a solo thing where I just play just bass and I sing, or some of the songs I do, it's just solo, like, in the way I guess a solo guitarist might play, like a classical guitarist would go play by himself, So trying to figure out
sequencers or drum machines?
No.
Just you and the bass. Huh?
Yeah. None of this looping crap. Not yeah. Oh yeah. It's man. When I see somebody plug in one of those loopers, I tune out. I tune out. No, I just tune out. It's like I mean, it was cool when Jocko did it. Jocko did it in, 74 or something?
A little later.
That was cool. 76.
Purple Haze, I remember seeing him do that.
But and so that was cool. But what I like, my thing with bass is that I just want to play music on the bass.
What a concept.
And I'm not playing bass, I'm not trying to play guitar, I'm just trying to play music. You can play music on the bass. It doesn't have to be just that, or it doesn't have to be just 1/5 bass line. I mean, you really can play music on it by itself. Don't need anything else. That's my policy, and and I approve this message. I hope to get your vote in November.
You got my vote. What would you be if you were not a bass player? It has to be something outside of music.
I'd be a willow tree. Oh, you didn't say what kind of tree. Okay. I would be a lion. No, well, you didn't say what kind.
Are you lying now?
Well, I would be. If I were a bass player,
yeah.
I would have liked to have been a professional motorcycle racer. And I say that with all sincerity. I would have wanted to be, Kenny Roberts, even though he was before my time, but I would have been a motorcycle racer.
He was a professional motorcycle racer, right?
He was. One of the most famous.
Know that. Everybody knows.
One of the most famous American motorcycle racers in the international scene. He was a
okay.
Yeah.
Well, Tim Bogert was one of our early interviews also.
Okay.
And he's into the hogs.
Yeah, I don't know. Pig farming to me just doesn't seem all that rewarding. It's awfully smelly. No,
depends.
No, I don't mean Harleys. I mean motorcycles.
Oh. Okay.
I've had 3 Harleys, so don't even try it, mister. I have.
Sounds good.
But yeah, Motorcycle racer.
Very
Like
cool.
road racer, you know, this kind of. You know, that kind of thing.
It was great catching up with you. Let's not wait another 4 or 5 years till we do it again.
This interview could still be going on in 4 or 5 years.
No, it won't be. Vail Johnson, great to see you. Thanks very much. Thank you, everybody. I'm Jon Liebman. You're watching for BassPlayersOnly.com. Boy, somebody's got an editing job to do. Hi, everyone. Jon Liebman here. You're watching.
And in the local news, I'm not wearing any pants. Film at 11. Okay.
Ready?
Have you seen these pictures of my wife?
I've been.
Sorry. You go, pony. Go, pony. Faster. Faster, pony.
Vail, what kind of... I think I am going to do an outtake.
Outtakes are going to be the best part, I'm telling you. Okay.